So one idea, if you think about a grade recording system for WPI, you have students and faculty members interacting with the same system. So what can happen is you can have access for these two to get blended together. So in this example, the client and server are interacting with a web server, and that web server has full permissions to be able to manipulate what grades are stored in a database. We call the web server a deputy. It is authorized to perform actions on the database on behalf of a bunch of different users. The problem is that that deputy can become confused at times. So let's say that a client, in this case a student, finds a bug in my code for my web server. And now they're able to get privileges escalated on the web server. When that web server talks to the database server, they're able to do edits that they otherwise shouldn't be able to do. And the reason is because that web server is all powerful. It has the permissions of everybody who could possibly use it. And because of this, when the deputy gets confused, you have access violations. What we want to do is be able to separate out a different web instance for every single user. So if a client is able to compromise a web server, that web server only has the permissions that is associated with that user. In this case, a student can read grades, but they aren't able to write them. And accordingly, even if they compromise my web server, they aren't able to do any kind of manipulation to the database. We give the instructor a completely separate set that's going to have permissions associated with it. So the system that we're designing is going to take initial requests, have a manager that will then create a bunch of infrastructure saying, I'm giving each user their own instance of a web server that's going to have custom permissions to be able to talk to a database server.